Good afternoon, everyone. This will be an introduction in part one of this series. It will be about my Dreamline. It's a Gen 1. Picked it up 3 years ago. Very limited options. I got the laminate stock uh, by chance, which was pretty good. And I believe they had the light available. I didn't want the light. I wanted to use it. Pest control, going through the woods, squirrel, whatnot. The A Slug liner came out, and I wanted to go for it. So I picked it up, got it in here, and that's a 1:16 twist on that A Slug liner. And I got up to the. I think I'm jumping ahead too fast. I had issues with the amp reg. I removed it, put Huma reg in there, and gun was better than ever. First modifications, I believe that's it. I did do some tuning around with the ports, just cleaning them up, opening them up a little. I do have the high flow pedal probe, pellet probe in there at the moment. I was shooting 27 grain NSA. Oh, I don't have them with me. 27 grain NSA slugs, 217 at about 930. 900, I was getting a 5-inch grouping at about 200 yards. I got it up to 930. This gun is completely maxed out. Hammer, you name it. Reg was up to 170, I believe. 165, 170. Either way, this thing was topped out. Had my fun with the slug, shooting 200 yards. Switched it back to the pellet. Had a great great squirrel gun for the last year and a half or so. But all the parts are coming out. Barrel kit was 400. Now it's up to 299, down to 299. Had some money saved, so I figured time to upgrade. I really didn't want to change the stock. Most beneficial for me for a classic, and yes, there is an aftermarket stock that does protect the bottom tube now. It's more money than I wanted to spend. If I were to do that, I would just go right to the Impact Maverick or Wildcat Sniper, probably. But I decided to build this gun up. I love it. I've been having great luck. Just an amazing small gun. A lot of bite for it. So, I already knew I was maxed out. If you know Dreamlines and some other valve seat issues. And luckily, I never broke the valve seat on this. And I know people who were running less than I was, and they were breaking valve seats. So I picked this up, 911, reinforced 5.5 millimeter valve seat, titanium seat. And crap, I said to myself I wasn't going to make this long, but guess what? It's going to be long. But this isn't going to be a video on what you should do or how to do it. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. And we'll see from the results. You might be able to improve on it, and might not be suited for your needs. But let's see if we can get that there. And I wish I had the old one, but you see how the O-ring is in the middle. And on the original, it's down by the seat. And that's where it would break every single friggin' time that I would see a picture of someone someone showing me it. And of course, warranty would cover it. It's been 3 years for me, so I think I'm past due. Okay, so I know I'm going to hammer this a little bit. My goal isn't really more than what I had before. It's just that this gun was maxed out. And 27 grains at 200 yards, that was amazing, friggin' amazing. So I also got, oops. And that was another thing. I had that spring pressure so high on the hammer. It was, you could feel it cocking, and it was just a hard hit. So I'm going to try this with less spring pressure and see if I can just reduce it a little bit. I know the dwell will be open a bit more, but that's what experimenting is about. So if I can get the right setting with this, then I might be in business. If not, I can see if I can use the other hammer and maybe keep a little higher pressure. But I am just trying to relax this gun. I don't want to stress it out more than I have, and I have. So, okay, a couple mods that I'm going to be doing just for reinsurance purposes. Oops. So we'll get down to the nitty gritty here. Or the fun stuff, as I like to think. Okay, so I picked up the 600 22 Superior liner. And this should help relieve some of the pressure. You can see it's already past the moderator, the FX moderator. So by the time I put it on, it's going to be another 4.5 or so inches out past that. One of my other mods, which I just did, and yes, it is crooked, just so I can get a better camera angle, is this bipod. And this, I can't talk, oh my god. In this Picatinny rail with actually a strap. So I can carry it in the woods if I do decide to. And it was so simple to do this, and this is so secure. I do like the carbon fiber on here. It is a little less weight. This is just a cheaper one. Not high end, but it functions perfectly. I didn't even have to tweak this one. This was out of the box, immaculate. Locks tight, no complaints. I mean, it's exactly what I need for not $300. So let's just put it that way. And it works for me. You got the extra money, you want to, go for it. So, the Superior. I've been seeing and hearing a lot of good things on this, but it's been mostly not for what I want, but on the impacts, running 1,000 FPS on some higher weight slugs. So Dreamline valve is a bit smaller, and of course this is the 22 tube. This is a smaller tube. I believe this is 220 or 250. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. The 25 and 30 comes with a larger tube, a lot more air. I almost went with the 25, but shooting slugs with the 22 is my thing with this gun. I don't really want to go bigger. If I go bigger, I'm going with a different gun. My personal preference, no one else's, just my needs or wants. So, I got a hold of FX, obviously for the diagrams, and found the 25-30 tube. So, I ordered that up, and this is 290cc. By the way, when I was shooting those at 27s at 930, I did not have the FX Plenum. You know why? It wasn't out yet. And actually the Huma gives me a little extra in here, so that worked out fine. Otherwise, stock, I would not be able to push those 27s at that speed. So the Huma saved my butt. I had issues with the amp, whatever. So I do have the Donnie, yeah. Do have the Donnie FL, but here I have the FX Plenum. So this is going to end up, and remember, this is another section here that is going to have to go on top of here, but it should clear. By the time up there, I should be about here. That's exactly where the end of the moderator is. I'll have a little gap. And this thing is going to be front heavy. I don't think it's going to be as friendly offhand shooting as it is now, but I can always switch it back if I don't want it. or don't like it, whatever. But I'm going to be bench shooting mostly for long distance. I just want as much stability as I can. So not off shooting 200 yards, that's for sure. So this is just what I'm going to be doing. And maybe some of you will want to join the ride and just see how it ends up. And pretty much that's all I'm doing, is I'm just sharing my experience, and we're going to see how this little gun performs. So still iffy about the Superior though, and but like I said, I'm not going to guess. I'm just going to wait until I'm in there. But those guys are shooting super high FPS. I know this tube will help. It'll give me more shots. I was getting, I believe, 12 shots at 930 with this tube and with the 500. So I'm hoping I can drop the reg with the longer barrel, because I was up at 165, I believe, or 170 at one point, testing and tuning, but I was up there. So I'm hoping about 145, good starting point. I do also, which was one thing I had to do, I had to add a shim for the spring. And that gave me enough pressure to open that valve and get that air out. So the lock time was actually pretty short, because it was hitting that valve so hard, and with that extra air in there. But I think with the 500 that worked out pretty good, because it was boom, that slug was out of that 500 liner in no time. So we're gonna see about the 600. Like I said, dwell time is gonna be a bit more, but I'm gonna try to adjust for it, and we'll go from there. What I really wanted to do was put the longer tube on and then get a shot count, the difference between the 500, but I won't have my moderator on there. Didn't really want to screw around with it. So, to be totally honest, it would have been interesting to find out how many more shots. I was getting 45 shots. I'm shooting 18 grain right now at 895 to 900, just right around there, and fine-tuned, and I got about 45 good shots out of this with just 18 grain. So, not expecting that with slugs, obviously, but if the 27 or 29, and these are the old NSA, these were the hand ones, and I still have them before the high-speed machines. And to be honest, I think those outperformed the high-speed machines. I mean, those were just getting into business. This was a few years ago, so they may have tweaked it and got it right. But those hand ones, those were just, I mean, very good. Those were amazing. And the high-speed ones were not close. Well, I mean, they were pretty close behind them, but those were just incredible slugs. And speaking of slugs, this is what I got for right now. NSA, of course, 24.8 grain, 22 cal, 217s, because that's what this A-liner liked. Superior, I've been reading close to the same, depending on the brand, 217, 216. Not too much on the 218 though, but we'll see. So I got some of those, and I've been hearing the H&N have been doing really good. And yes, javelins and all those will be on the list. I just need to see where I can get this gun safely without overstressing it like before, and just have a nice constant shooting. So I got these, sorry, on the back. 23 grain. They're the 217. So, but I am going to jump up there. I just want to see how these perform. But I just love the heavier weight. If you're going to do 200 yards, I just prefer the 27. The 23s and 22s, God, I had a few back then. But those didn't seem to do as good as the heavier 27s. And the coefficiency on those were pretty damn good. I do have an old YouTube channel. I'm not on there anymore. Disagreement with YouTube, so start taking a lot of my stuff off. But anyways, I'm gonna start up a new one. Obviously, if you're watching this, you see it. But I might get back into this game. I just want to do this. I'm having fun. Got a couple other projects I've already done, but I never posted or did videos on them. It was just something I was doing. So I think that's it for part 1 and introduction, and then we'll dig down and we'll start assembling this. All right, I take it back. We're not done, because this is just something I've been out of the loop for a little while. This liner, actually, if you're not a newbie, and this isn't really a newbie, gonna be a newbie thing here. This has the double case. It has another liner case over the liner that's in here, and it's spaced out with O-rings. Okay, so this is like the light version. I'm just catching up on all this stuff too. But let me show you. So instead of having that other liner in there, this is what I have in mine. And these take up that other liner before. On mine, these are glued, but I've also been reading. There, I'll just show you right here, the superior. There we go. On the 24. So I was just actually surprised that these were glued, because I've been reading, I read up on stuff and have this planned out long beforehand. But everyone was complaining that they didn't like this style, that they were moving, and this could have been an earlier version, and now they glue them here. But I was actually using the O-rings in here for harmonic balancing, and I was adding, taking away. I also had some square O-rings that were working out very well, and I'm not going to get to where I have them or whatever else, but I got that tuned so sweet. Now, I cannot move these. I cannot test and play. Kind of hinders me on my fun of tuning. And yes, before anyone asks or mentions, I know they have the carbon fiber liners. Not for Dreamline, unfortunately, but I've already come up with ways of doing it, and I know a few other people have already. You would have to knock these off. You could 3D print them a little bigger in the middle and be able to slide them, make them a little wider after you get that on there. But anyways, before I get way too deep too fast here. Okay, so I'll just leave that with you guys, but just interesting that it was glued, and just wanted to share that with you guys. This one has the dual port, obviously, slugs and pellets. I did not have this option back in the day. I had to elongate my original one. And then Huma came out with theirs. I got that and the high flow, but we also, anybody who was tuning back then, had to manually grind that little port open so we could get our ear going better. And now everybody makes all these parts, so you guys got it pretty easy. And all right, we're gonna call it quits there. All right, part 1 ran into part 2 a little bit, but you know, get going. So much to say, so much to show. So if you guys want to stick around, that's fine, or come back in, I don't know, a couple of weeks or so and see the end results, whatever. So I just like the Dreamline. I like the classic stock. I do like some of the new stocks they come out with and the rail that goes under there, but like I said, for that kind of money, I'm just going to buy an Impact. My personal, if I had the extra money and I could afford multiple guns, no problem. I got a family, got bills. I'll make do. Even when I work side jobs, it takes up my time. So, all right, on that note, this is going to be an interesting build and just something I've wanted to do for a little while now, and I said, screw it, let's do it. And I didn't really want the 700 barrel on here. Certain reasons, my reasons, just like I was saying, the power output, and yeah, it would increase it, but I'm still limited. And no, I don't want a tank, so this is the classic anyways, blah blah. Didn't want the 700, and then I'd have to barrel band it up there, or hopefully that would hold it. So, all right, we're gonna call it quits there, and can't promise you when the next one will come out, but when I get some time, we'll get this all apart. I'll show you. There are so many videos. I don't need to show you guys all this stuff. You guys can just look it up. How to remove the valve, how to remove the... So I'll show you guys as I go along, but I'm not going into detail. There's too much information out there. And like I said, I don't want this to be a beginner's. You got to kind of know what you're doing. And I think you'll enjoy this video more. And we'll do some 200-yard shooting. And if I can get 300-yard, I'll do that too. I'll have to call around and see if I can get that kind of room. But depends on what they're doing for farming right now, and it's the fall time, so a little harvesting, and we might be busy in the fields. So, okay, I'm gonna call it quits, and hope you guys liked at least the first one. Been a while since I've been on camera, so maybe a little camera shy. All right, we're gonna call it quits, and we're done. And until next time in part 2.